Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to have some Division 20 online gameplay using Khabib, and I don't really use Khabib often. I was trying to learn how to use him. I've been trying to use grapplers more so lately, no matter what weight class, and I've gone up against Khabib quite a few times in the lightweight division, and often or not, obviously the fight is going to go to the ground, it's inevitable. But I don't know, he seemed a bit stiff and it sort of put me off using him. However, in today's gameplay, obviously I'm using him. I wanted to see what he's like, and I'm facing a Division 19 opponent who I've beat before. I remember this guy as gamer tag. He was actually a really good fighter. So coming into this, obviously being matched up against RDA, not the easiest fight considering RDA is amazing on the ground. That's ideally he'd want the fight, and where I'd want to be is on top of him, and he'd be fine with that because obviously he's submissions. Not only that, but RDA's got brilliant striking. The only thing, RDA is not, his chin health isn't the best at times, and obviously I just coming into this, hopefully I know Khabib has power, his boxing isn't bad, and I just want to get on top and do some damage. And I can tell you now that this fight it's a very good fight, and I think you guys enjoy it. It's quite a high level fight, so I thought I'd upload this. And start off with, obviously it's the first round. It's a 5-round fight, and where I fought this guy before, I know this could go the distance. I clinch here to try and get the takedown. My opponent does a beautiful job of denying it. So my first takedown attempt got denied, shoot for the second, and I managed to get it. So I normally avoid shooting for takedowns in round 1. However, Khabib's obviously very dominant on the ground, and not only that, but I know this opponent is quite a good player, so I wasn't looking to stand with the opponent for too long, and I could see this guy in the 5 rounds. I mean, whenever you start a 5-round fight, in your head you need to think that the fight is going 5 rounds, because it is a possibility. Often or not, you will get finishes, and you could get submitted, or you submit your opponent, whatever. The fight could easily end before the 5th round. But going into it, I think you should always think about, what if it does go to the 4th and the 5th round? What if it's a decision? So with that in mind, I've done what Khabib does best, and I'm trying to smash him. I took him down, and I'm looking to dominate here. I'm looking to hold him down for the rest of this round and just win on the judges' scorecards. And my opponent's doing a good job. He tried to get up here, but I managed to get the deny off. I mean, whenever I'm in that position, the opponent's always going to try to get up and push me against the cage and then back away. Obviously that's something I had in mind already, so I had pre-denied that. Right now, as you can see, I'm just doing a little increments of damage. It will eventually add up over the rounds. In my head now is my goal is to do enough damage in this round to get me by the round, damage the block, damage the head health, so that in the next coming rounds I can do a bit more damage. And RDA is always going to be a dangerous fight, especially when using Khabib, because my opponent knows it's going to go to the ground. Obviously he's a ground fighter, and you've just got to be careful in the fact that when you're unloading with Khabib, you don't want to waste too much stamina, especially with a submission guy beneath you, because all it's going to take is one submission with no stamina, and they can get you out. And yeah, so that was something to think about. So that's the stats for the first round. I'd say that's my round because of the control. And going into the second round, I'm looking to build off what I've just done. Obviously, a sign of a high level fighter is that my opponent's going to make the necessary changes to avoid it going to the ground, and he needs to look to implement those, keep it on the feet, because that's where often or not he's probably going to have more success. We shoot for a takedown here, and we turn the same way I turned where I got the takedown in the first round, and here we start to unload, softening the head. And even if I don't get the finish in this round or the next round, even if this fight goes to the decision, I just want to do little bits of damage, and I want to do enough damage so that the ref doesn't pull us up onto the feet. I mean, one thing with Khabib is that his stand-up in general is actually not that bad. He's got good boxing, and he can do the job if he's forced to be on the feet. But obviously, if you have the opportunity, what you want to do is take your opponent down, mixing the takedowns with some striking. And right now I'm doing a good job of denying my opponent's transitions. I've got a good read of how and where my opponent goes on the ground. And I'm just looking to control my opponent, that's all. And I want to ideally have a 10-8 round, so that in the future, if my opponent wins a round, it's not going to be too big of an issue, because it's only a matter of time potentially before my opponent starts making the necessary adjustments and necessary reads and starts denying these takedowns. And that's one thing you've got to realise when you're fighting a high level player, is you may have success in round 1, 2, 3, 4, but in round 5 they could stop you, or they could start learning your patterns and start denying these takedowns, which is going to put you at a massive disadvantage. And with all this full process in mind, throughout the fight, that my opponent at any time could start denying my takedowns, I need to do as much damage on the ground without putting myself vulnerable to a submission, so that when we get to the feet, my opponent's health stats are low enough that I could potentially get an easy knockdown or easy drop. As you can see, it's a very dominant performance so far, a very Khabib-like performance. I'm not taking much damage, and I'm doing a lot of damage to my opponent. My opponent does a very nice job here, ends up getting on top. He does the sweep that everyone does, where you go to full guard and straight to the opposite side and do half guard. And he's trying to get up here, but I don't mind him being on top of me. And I managed to take his back, which I was surprised about, but I managed to do it. I'm trying to see where my opponent's going from here. I want my stamina to get up. I fake the bulldog choke, try to take my opponent's back, but he does a good job stopping it. And my opponent stands up. I think here I try to go for a takedown. We managed to get it, a beautiful turning takedown there. And yeah, so overall that was another dominant round, I'd say. I'd say that one's more likely to potentially be a 10-8 with, I think, over 3 minutes of control time. Going into this round, this was where I was thinking, okay, I've dominated for 2 rounds. My opponent's probably going to look to push the pace and potentially start understanding where I'm going with my takedowns. As you can see there, my opponent managed to stuff the first takedown, and that was a warning of what was to come. My opponent made the necessary adjustment in preventing takedown, so right now I'm trying to shoot for another. My opponent again does a good job of sprawling the takedown, and this is where I knew, okay, that this is a high level fighter. My opponent knows what he's doing, and now we're going to have to stand with Khabib for a bit. And like I said, with Khabib, everyone's going to know your game plan, and that's that you're going to take him to the ground, you're going to beat him up real bad, you're going to smash him, and you're either going to look for the submission or to finish by a ground and pound. But another tactic that you could do with Khabib is you could dominate for 2-3 rounds on the ground, and if you can't get them to the ground anymore, that's fine. You can just have these little boxing exchanges, don't take too much damage, clinch where you can, and just see out both rounds. I mean, as long as you know you've got the rounds in the bag, you should be fine. And at the moment, based off those 2 first rounds, I know that I won those. The second round, potentially a 10-8. I'm okay, I'm content with being on the feet for the time being. Now, right now, you can see I'm shooting a lot of takedowns, because I'm trying to figure out what takedowns I'm going to catch my opponent off guard, and what realistically I wanted to do, but my opponent was doing a good job of, is I wanted to circle my opponent towards the fence to take his back, but he was doing a good job of not getting pushed to the fence. I mean, Khabib has the teep kick, which I could use. However, I didn't want my opponent to sidestep it and potentially catch me with a strike that ends up rocking me or dropping me. And when you're forced to stand with Khabib, it's not actually it's not that big of a worry. I mean, it's not like you're using Usman or something where you can't really box. So he has good boxing, you just got to keep it simple. 1-2 combos, I'd say. Maybe work the body, then work the head. Throw your jab quite a lot. He's got a very good jab, I'd say. And that's it. I just was trying to remain calm, not allow myself to get pushed. And obviously the takedown's always there, although my opponent has done a very good job of this round, denying all the takedowns so far. And this round, I'd probably say it's his round. I mean, he's denied every takedown this round, and he's had some good strikes here and there. But overall, I still say we're in a comfortable position. I get the head kick there to end the round. As we take a look at the stats here, overall that's definitely his round, but I've got the 2 rounds before that, so now I believe we're going into the championship rounds. And something to think about here is that obviously my opponent's done a very good job that last round. He's going to have confidence going into this next round, and it's probably helped build his momentum. Touch the gloves here, and ideally I'd want the fight to go to the ground. If it doesn't go to the ground again, I'm not too worried. I can afford to stand these next 2 rounds. I haven't taken that much damage, and I'm not feeling unconfident on the feet. I'm not going to shy away from these boxing exchanges. I mean, if you're constantly walking backwards with a fight like Khabib and you're avoiding any sort of boxing exchange or any sort of kickboxing exchange, your opponent's just going to start piecing you up, and that's going to add up over time, and they'll probably get the finish. So I'm trying to clinch a bit more in this round. Ideally I'd want to clinch towards the fence, and I'm not going to shoot for too many takedowns because of the sheer amount he denied last round, and it done a huge number on my stamina, as you can see in the top right hand corner. And obviously if I do get the takedown, I don't want my stamina to be low, because then the submission threat's there from RDA. As you can see right now, I'm trying to make my opponent miss. I shoot for the takedown, does a beautiful job denying, and from there I could see that my opponent's stamina wasn't in the best position. When I got him in the clinch, I tried to switch him to the angle to do a suplex, but I could see my opponent was going to deny it. Instead of throwing any strikes, I just walked and then eventually broke from the clinch. And I know my opponent's stamina isn't in a great position either, obviously after he sprawled the takedown. Try to get on top here, my opponent does a good job of kicking me off. I should have waited for him to kick first, but that's my fault. That's next time something I'll look to improve on. And my opponent is he's done a good job, I'd say. The one thing he probably could have done better is working more leg kicks, maybe more body shots, more switch kicks to try affect my stamina a bit more. And as of now, this round I'd say is fairly even. We both haven't done too much. I've tried to go for the takedowns, but my opponent's done a good job, and here he actually gets the head kicks done. Which is a good head kick, I didn't expect it. As you can see, I've been wobbled for a while. Go for the clinch, land one little punch there, and the clinch was just to show that I have that threat there to move my opponent backwards. And now my opponent's starting to throw more leg kicks, and now I'm conscious of the head kick, because obviously that's landed and stunned me, so I need to be careful. And again, although he's got the stun, I'd say it's a fairly even round. I wouldn't say it's too much either way. So this round, it's a hard one. I'm not sure who to give it to, but I would have given it to him whilst I was playing, because I'd rather think that I'm on the back foot to push in the 5th and final round. And the final round's going to show a lot. I mean, we both go for a head kick there, and he could have dropped me with that, and I could have dropped him, but damn to us. So if we look at the stats for the 4th, probably is going to go to my opponent. So going into the 5th and final round, I know this is an important round, especially if I didn't get the 10-8 that I think I got in the round 2. So this round's important. I'm going to look to get a takedown at some point in the round, just to have that for the judges to see if it does go the distance. And with that takedown, I'm going to look to do a little bit of damage and just get a little bit of control time to hopefully win this round. And I mean, I've been forced to stand these past 2 rounds. I've only been stunned once. I've done some good work on my opponent as well. I haven't managed to get a stun, but my punches are landing, and they're doing small increments of damage. And right now I'm trying to see if my opponent's going to push the pace, because going into this it could be 2 rounds each. And now in the 5th round, it's about who wants it more. So I get my opponent in the clinch and land some knees, pushing him back towards the fence. And one thing my opponent's done a very good job of throughout the whole fight is keeping away from the fence, which is a mistake a lot of people make when fighting a Khabib. My opponent gets the stun here with the head kick. He's having some success with that. 3-1 last round, got a stun. 3-1 this round, I got a stun. And I'm not sure how the stuns are scored in this game, because it's not very clear how the judges on this game score things. I know that sometimes you can have 4 minutes control, a million strikes. They can have 1 knockdown, 1 strike, and they'll win the round. So in my head right now, obviously he's got that stun. He's probably winning the round, so I shoot for the takedown. He does a very good job of denying it. And right here, I want to push my opponent to the cage and work his back. Jump on him like a backpack, a Damian Maya type thing. That's what I'm looking to do. Or maybe get in the clinch and take his back. Shoot for a takedown, deny it myself, and then get his back. But my opponent's obviously a high level player, so he's aware that I'm going to do these things. And right now I'm just doing these small exchanges with him, trying to break his block and stay calm, because although he's got the stun, I'm not sure how that's going to look on the scorecards. And as you can see, he's backing away towards the fence. I clinch him, push him towards the fence, take his back, and get a beautiful turning takedown. And I've got a minute and a half to work with. Not much stamina, but I'm not too worried because I'm side control. I actually go for the Kimura there. My opponent reads it and gets to deny. And here, I'm more than content in just staying here for the next minute, doing little to no damage, but throwing only jabs, maybe ground and pound here and there when my stamina's full, because again I don't want to get caught in a submission. And I'm hoping that if I see out this round with me on top, that I'll be able to get the win by decision, because right now I can't see myself finishing my opponent. As you can see there, I ground and pound and I throw very little strikes. And there's 14 seconds left now. So I've had my opponent down for around a minute. And now he's reversed it to get on top for the last couple of seconds. And that's the fight over. So I would have said I got that last round. My opponent got the 2 before that and I got the first 2. It was a very good fight. The judges' scorecards are going to come up now. So obviously I got the victory, and you're going to see how the judges scored the fight and the round stats. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you next time.